All right, let's talk about something we hear all the time. A real buzzword, positive work culture. But what does that actually mean? You know, it's so much more than just a nice to have. It's really the core blueprint for a place where people and the business itself can actually thrive. So let's get into it.
Okay, first up, I want you to do a little something for me. Just for a second, if you can, I want you to picture the best possible workplace you can imagine, like your absolute dream job environment. What does it look like? What does it feel like to be there?
So, what came to mind? Let me guess. Did you see a ping pong table? Maybe a fancy coffee bar or free lunch every single day? Look, if you did, you're definitely not alone. But we're about to flip that whole idea on its head.
And that leads us right into our first big topic. We're going to look past the free lunch and all those flashy benefits. It's time to bust the myth of the perks culture and figure out what really matters.
Yep, here they are. The usual suspects, right? Unlimited PTO, free lunch, ping pong tables, even dogs running around the office. And look, don't get me wrong, these things aren't nice. But they're also the things that get mistaken for real culture all the time. They're decorations, but they aren't the foundation.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. The best people, the talent that you're dying to attract and keep on your team, they're not really interested in the perks. They're looking for something way deeper. Things like trust, real connection, and a chance to actually grow. The flashy stuff just doesn't cut it.
Okay, so if it's not about the free food and the ping pong tables, why should any business even care about culture? Well, that's where we're going next. Let's look at the real bottom line, because the numbers don't lie. This stuff gives companies a huge competitive edge.
Get this, a whopping 77% of job applicants say they consider a company's culture before they even think about accepting an offer. That's huge. It's not just a nice to have anymore. For most people, it's a total deal breaker.
And it doesn't stop once you hire them. The culture has a direct impact on how well they work. We're talking a full 13% higher performance from employees who are happy and supported versus those stuck in a toxic environment. That is a serious, measurable bump in productivity.
And that productivity, it goes straight to the bottom line. Think about this. Companies that actually make an effort to recognize and reward their people are 21% more profitable. 21%! That's the power of just saying good job and meaning it.
Now let's look at the flip side, the absolutely staggering cost of getting this wrong. American businesses lose up to $300 billion a year because of workplace stress. By creating a positive environment, you're not just doing something nice, you're pulling one of the biggest financial levers you possibly can.
Okay, so the why is pretty clear, right? The numbers are just undeniable. So now let's get into the what. What is this thing we call culture actually made of? Let's break down what it is and what it isn't.
So what are we really talking about here? Well, think of it like this. Culture is a company's shared set of values and behaviors. It's not some mission statement collecting dust on a wall. It's the invisible force that guides how everyone, from the newest hire to the CEO, acts and makes decisions every single day.
And this really breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you have what culture is. Stuff like mutual respect, feeling safe enough to speak up, that psychological safety, and having real open communication. On the other side is what it isn't, the free snacks, the office dogs, the ping pong. Those are just the window dressing. You can have all the free snacks in the world, but if you don't have respect, you've got nothing.
Okay, so this all sounds great, but how do you actually build it? It can feel a little big and abstract, right? Well, the good news is there's a blueprint. We're going to break it down into 3 simple, actionable pillars.
Here they are. First, you have to define and align. Then, you communicate and support. And finally, you reinforce and evolve. It's a continuous process. So let's take a closer look at each one. The first pillar, define and align, is all about being intentional. You know, a great culture doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It starts at the top with a really clear mission and values. And then, everything else has to align with that. How you hire, how you run meetings, everything. That way, you get everyone pulling in the same direction.
Pillar 2, communicate and support, is where the rubber meets the road. This is all about the people. It's about fostering open and honest communication, making sure your managers are actually living the values and embracing diversity. And, this is a big one, you have to back it up with real support, like good benefits and a rock-solid zero-tolerance policy for toxic behavior. That's how you show you're serious.
And finally, our third pillar, reinforce and evolve. This is so important because culture is never finished. It's a living thing that needs constant attention.
This means you've got to recognize and reward great work, you have to be ready to adapt to change, and yeah, you should organize ways for people to connect, but make it genuine, not forced fun, you know? All right, as we start to wrap this up, let's boil it all down to one core idea. If you take away just one single thing from our conversation today, what should it be?
It's this. Culture is not an HR project. It's not a program. It's the operating system of your entire company. It's the sum of a million tiny little things. Every conversation, every decision, every email that happens every single day from everyone.
And this last quote just wraps it all up so perfectly. Real culture is built through those daily actions. It boils down to three things, really. Clear communication, making people feel safe, and consistently recognizing their work. It's not rocket science, but it does take effort every single day.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO or just starting out. What's one small thing, one action, you can take tomorrow to make the culture where you work just a little bit better? Because at the end of the day, the power to change it really starts with you. Thanks for joining me.